We are talking about nursing home asset protection planning. There are three types of planning. The first type we're going to talk about now is pre-planning. That is planning 5 years before you need to go to a nursing home. Now, nobody knows exactly when that will be, but as we get older and our health begins to decline, this is when people begin thinking about this and doing this type of planning. Certainly, if you have been diagnosed with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, or some other type of debilitating disease that's going to get progressively worse, you want to start planning as soon as you're diagnosed. Because in most cases, you are not going to be in the nursing home in the next 1, 2, or 3 years. In the next 4 or 5 years, it is possible. In the next 6, 7, or 8, probably very likely. So we want to start this planning as soon as you're diagnosed or even earlier if your health is declining. In this type of planning, we use what's called an irrevocable asset protection trust. In this type of trust, your kids are typically co-trustees and co-beneficiaries. In this trust, you can place your home, other real estate, and savings and investments. Now, we typically don't put all of your assets into a trust like this. People always keep out anywhere from 30, 40, 50, sometimes even as much as $100,000 of savings and investments in their own name. Just in case they need to buy a car, take a trip, pay taxes, just a little bit of a cushion. But the bulk of their assets are transferred into this irrevocable asset protection trust. Now, when we say irrevocable, that gets people a little bit scared because they're afraid that they have been told that they cannot change trustees, they cannot change beneficiaries, and they cannot touch any of these assets. It is true that typically once people put assets in the trust, they generally never take them back out. But in an emergency situation, they can be removed and redirected back to you. Now, how do we control this trust? Well, you have two strings. The first string, if you pull, you can replace 1, 2, or all of your children as trustees of the trust with whomever you desire other than yourself. Second of all, you can pull the second string and replace 1, 2, or all of your children as beneficiaries and replace them with anybody but yourself. So you still have control over trustees, beneficiaries for the remainder of your life. But as soon as the assets are placed in the trust, that 5-year clock begins ticking, and after the assets have been in your trust for 5 years, they are 100% protected from the nursing home. So while you're alive, you can actually qualify for Medicaid, and the assets in this trust will not be considered your resources or your assets. And after you die, these assets are protected from nursing home recovery or Medicaid estate recovery, as you have probably heard about. This is where Medicaid recovers or takes the assets of your estate after you die to pay for the Medicaid benefits that were paid to the nursing home on your behalf. You are protected from this with an irrevocable asset protection trust.